Welcome to PODCASS. I'm Cass, the best host on Rumble, best podcaster. And this is Pudge from PudgeTV.
The worst podcaster
Correct?
on Rumble.
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
You do RPG games almost every day of the week in the mornings. And then you have Back Porch Theology on Wednesdays, right?
That's correct.
Right. With rants. You guys talk about Christianity and you watch Crosspoint City Church. And then, are you still doing Mod Mondays too?
I am. Yep. I'm doing Mod Mondays every Monday around 7 p.m.-ish God's time zone.
That's Eastern for regular people.
Non-Christians. Those of you living in sin.
Not true.
Come to church on Wednesdays.
Yeah, that's I haven't been watching it lately, but when I do, I really enjoy it. And then you can also have Gigi's
in the chat.
Chat on Friday mornings.
Friday mornings, 10 a.m. We got a good show coming up tomorrow morning. Yeah, the Game Awards are going to make for good content.
Yeah. Did you watch any of it tonight before?
I did not watch any of it tonight. No, I'll probably catch the highlights tomorrow morning before we get started. You know, I get started pretty early in the morning. So I'll catch the highlights and, watch whatever it is that I need to watch to catch up on it. I have no intention of sitting and watching that crap in its, full experience. No thanks.
It was way easier to watch than the streamer awards, that's for sure.
I bet.
Did you see some of that? That was
I did see some of that. The funniest thing about that was the Hassan joke.
That was pretty funny.
That was literally, in my opinion, the only good thing that happened. Huge shout out to the burnt peanut guy, because as much of a fad as the whole thing is, I think he understands that he's just kind of riding a wave. And you got to be smart to be able to ride that wave properly. And huge respect to him.
Agreed. Where are you from?
I was born in Illinois, just west of Chicago, and lived there till I was about 10. Then I was forcibly removed and placed in Mississippi because God hates me. And then I lived there for about 16 years. And and then I met Mrs. Pudge. She was an angel that was sent to save my life. And she was and is. She found me in a drunk tank, and not really, but that's where I was a week before I met her. And she found me at the restaurant that I worked at, and that was basically it. We met for the very first time in February of 2015, and we were married that May. And she had 2 kids, 11 and 8 at the time. And it was just, it was God the whole way. So we moved to Georgia in 2016, and outside of a year and a half little stint we spent in Mississippi a couple years ago, that's where we've been for the last 10 years. My daughter graduated high school here in Cartersville, Georgia, same school as Trevor Lawrence. Go Jags. And she's now at Well, it's a football thing. You know,
Okay.
you're if I had made like a Martha Stewart reference, maybe you would have gotten that. Because you know, women. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
but now she's at UGA applying for law school, married.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, it's wild. She's a much better adult than me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you guys have more kids after her
No,
kids?
we did not. No, we had one miscarriage right at the beginning of our marriage, and after that, Mrs. Pudge made it to where she can't have kids anymore. She's you know, like I said, her kids are a little bit older, so and she's a little bit older than me, so she decided to go ahead and do a little snippety snap.
I don't blame her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a smart thing to do. I think for ladies, in all seriousness, you know, I do think that that's a smart thing. Um, as you get older.
Yeah. What are
Yeah.
some things that you do to help you keep your sanity with streaming, with being a
Mm.
dad, and just whatever? Because I don't feel like a lot of times men will talk about like what they do to keep a level
Mm.
head, in
A lot of
public.
cannabis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not really. Not really. That's not.
But
Yeah.
you
That's
do,
not.
but yeah.
I do, but that's not the thing that like keeps me sane. No, it is absolutely unequivocally gratitude, practicing gratitude every single day. If you don't practice gratitude, you will get overwhelmed by all the negativity and all the stress and all the pressure, by the way, most of which is put on to you by yourself.
Mm.
Especially as a creator, if you're a creative person of any kind, whether you're a photographer or you're like a watercolor artist or a chalk artist or a chef or a filmmaker, whatever it is, if you're a creative person, you are your biggest critic and you are the one putting the most pressure on yourself at all times. So if you don't practice gratitude first and last every single day, then you will get overwhelmed by that.
Mm. Do you do that a certain way? Or like do you make a list, or is it just like a mental process?
It's I'm just intentional about making sure that I do it. And I do have certain things that I do at certain times that I do them because they're efficient. Um so like you know, when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is I'm grateful for my wife, and I make sure that you know I give her a good touch on the leg to let her know that kind of like I'm leaving, and I say a little prayer of gratitude for her. And then, as I'm feeding my dogs in the mornings before I get ready for my streams, I just sit there, and before I ever open up my phone, because I try to be consistent about when I am doing my social media, the first thing I tweet, and this is intentional again. If I get on Twitter, the first thing I do is I say good morning, and I put certain things in there. I put the praying hands or the thank you hands,
Oh
and then I
yeah, I've
put a
seen you do
sun,
that.
and then I put a heart, a green heart. So, and that's intentional because I start with gratitude. Even in my social media practice, I start with gratitude. Um, and so before I even do that part, before I even open my phone, I well, while I'm feeding my dogs and everything, I'm grateful to my creator. So I just sit and I talk to God for like 30-45 minutes while I'm feeding the dogs, getting them, ready in the morning. I got 4 dogs. So, and some of them hate each other. So they can't be, they will literally kill each other. So, I have to be very strategic about how I feed everybody, and I can't do them all at the same time. So anywho, um, while I'm doing that, I'm just talking to God. I just thanking God for the opportunity to be a fuck up again today, you know, because
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna mess it up. I'm not gonna do it perfectly, but I'm gonna start the day being grateful. And I'm gonna try to remember at the end of the day to be grateful. Because if I can bookend my day with gratitude, then that will seep in between. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of scripture, so I like to use it in my everyday thought process. And so the same concept that I'm talking about is, you know, the rules, two rules of being a Christian: love God, love everybody else, and everything in between will get fixed. You don't have to worry about the legalism of the dogma or anything. Don't worry about the in between. Start and end your day with gratitude and watch your life change.
Yeah, I think that's really, I mean, it's pretty simple thing to do too, but it's
Mhm.
important because like at least we're here and alive, you know.
Right. And we forget to be grateful for the little things. And it doesn't matter what you're grateful for. It's just it's that process of being intentionally grateful. I'm grateful that I have this mouse to control my computer with. I'm grateful I have this coffee cup because I can drink instant coffee with crappy creamer out of it. All of
Instant
these
coffee
things.
should be illegal, but continue.
It I'm grateful for this remote, which is broken, by the way. And just broke my television as well. But I'm grateful for these things, and it doesn't matter what it is that you're grateful for and what you're stating this gratitude for. Obviously, don't like fake it and lie and say, "Hey, I'm grateful for this thing that I hate." But hey, maybe. Um, but it's the practice of being grateful.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be big and elaborate about it. Your body doesn't care what you're grateful for. It's that intention of being grateful because it releases certain chemicals in your brain, and it reconfigures your mindset, and it reconfigures your brain to think a certain way if you practice gratitude. And I suffer from a lot of depression as well. I say I suffer. Um, Other people suffer from my depression. I'll put it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but so you know, to combat that depression, that's the best way to combat depression is with gratitude. It's definitely not pharmaceuticals. It's not any kind of drug or crutch or anything at all. It is absolutely unequivocally gratitude will cure your depression for all
Yeah,
intents and purposes.
I think between like I've been on multiple different like prescription drugs, but then like
Yeah.
also street drugs. I don't think there's anything out there that like fully, you know, gets down to the deep stuff,
That's right.
takes
That's
care of
absolutely
any of
right.
that. Yeah. So I
Because it's
definitely agree.
I believe that depression is at the root of it. It's a spiritual battle, and
Mm-hmm.
um it's not something that a medicine or a tonic or, you know, a tincture can fix. You have to change your heart, and you can only do that through Jesus Christ, and then gratitude, in that order.
Yeah, I agree.
I really believe that.
Is there anything you do for your depression like physically? Like I'll take
Mhm.
like hot baths or I'll
Yep.
get more sleep if I can.
Yep.
Anything
Yeah.
like that?
Working out and cold plunges. Cold plunges
Mm,
are especially this time of year. Because the way I do cold plunges, I don't have like a water cooler or anything like that. Um, I just have a tub of water outside, and it gets really cold sometimes, and sometimes I got to break the ice to get in, and it's extremely painful, and I often don't want to do it. But man, just the practice of being afraid to do something and then overcoming that fear, that in and of itself is game changing. And then you get on top of like all of the actual physical and physiological and mental and chemical benefits of cold plunging, then there's all that. But that stuff aside, just the hurdle, just the confidence that it brings into your body when it's an inch and a half of ice, and you know exactly, like, it feels like knives going into your skin the moment you get in there. And it's I don't know what it is about it that it's so maybe it's just me that like this it's just so it's scary to me. It's terrifying. It's like it's easier for me to it would be easier for me to jump off a bridge with a bungee cord around my ankles than it is for me to get in this cold plunge, especially when it's 28 degrees outside and I got to break in an inch and a half of ice. I know
Really?
how cold that, yeah. And that's the crazy thing is there's no danger involved. It's just uncomfortable. It's not fun, and I don't enjoy the process of it. But when you overcome that mental hurdle of your own, you're overcoming a barrier that you have built, and it's like keeping a
Mm,
promise to yourself. There's so much power in that. And you don't have to be a crazy person like me and have an inch and a half of ice in your water. You can literally just turn the cold water on in your shower and get the same physical benefits from it. And even for a lot of people, because my wife, if the water is not scalding her skin, then it's too cold. So like
I
the
agree.
you're crazy people. But the same concept applies if it's that mental hurdle of this is too cold, I don't want to do it, I don't want to. If you overcome that, that's really like the mental exercise of it, and not even worrying about the physical or spiritual, physiological benefits of cold plunging, cold showering, cold water exposure, that kind of thing.
I wonder if
It's
that
really
helps
good for
with
you.
like other stuff in life, because that's how I feel mentally about fucking everyday shit.
Yes. Well, and it does.
You know what I
And if
mean?
I absolutely do. And Gary Brecka is really smart on the whole cold plunge thing. He taught me a lot on it. And when you get really serious about it and you do start like doing real cold plunging, then you start getting into some real physical effects. What happens is your liver actually releases a chemical at a certain point in this process, that your liver releases this chemical that it's it's called the miracle chemical, and it or the hope chemical, and it literally like pumps you up.
Hmm.
And Joe Rogan will talk about it too, how he's crazy with his cold plunges. He does like 7 minutes in 32-degree, 36
Oh,
degree
I know.
water.
I've seen clips of that.
It's wild. But he talks about how it's better than cocaine for him, and it literally is for your body. It does the same thing as cocaine in effect of like releasing endorphins and things like that, but
Mm.
it lasts like 9 times longer. you know
Oh. Huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
cocaine lasts like 12 seconds, and this the cold plunging, cold water exposure, that can last up to like 16 hours of just dopamine chemical construction in your brain. It can pump out these endorphins that make you happy and joyful all the time, all day, every day.
So with everything we've been talking about, another thing that I feel like goes along with depression and gratitude and all these things that we do is burnout and handling that.
Yes.
Yeah. I get burnt out personally like every other week or something. I have a lot on my plate, so but I think a lot of people do. So do you get that as well? Sometimes?
I think so, but I don't I try not to manifest things like that. Meaning when I feel burnt out, I don't like to say I feel burnt out. I don't like to tweet about it. I don't like to talk about it. When I start to feel tired, or things are just being repetitive. This is why I can't work in like a job, because doing the same thing over and over again with very little to no results, especially for someone else, that burns me out. But like doing 27-hour days, making stuff and, doing stuff like this and being online and being creative, being social, that I can do that for weeks before I start to feel burnout. But I still feel it. And the way that I like to combat it is, well, first of all, you have to practice self-awareness. You have to know yourself. And you have to know the way your body works, the way that you feel. And I think it's really, really important to start working out so that you can get really familiar with your body. Because your body will tell you a lot, and it'll tell you a lot more, a lot faster than your brain will tell you, because your brain won't realize often how burnt out you are getting until long after your body is already there. So if you can listen to your body and watch yourself, pay attention to yourself, then you can really kind of, get ahead of these burnout moments, and you can recognize, oh, this muscle that I've been working, whatever it is that I've been working on, whether it's the streaming side or the podcast side, or, it's not, people don't just show up on my shows. It takes a lot of behind the scenes work to get people on the shows. This, we've been trying to do this for like a week and a half or 9.
Yeah, something like that.
And yeah, so like, there's a lot of work that goes into all of those things. And so if I don't recognize from a distance that, like, okay, I'm starting to feel this, I'm burning out, or I'm starting to get tired on this, I got to change things up a little bit. I've got to practice more gratitude here. I've got to exercise this muscle a little bit more. Maybe the problem is I'm not organized enough, and the disarray is what's making me so stressed out. Often this is why I'll rearrange my studio, because I get burnt out and I'm stressed out because everything's in disarray, and it may not even be the studio itself that's in disarray or a mess or anything like that. It often is. But that may not be necessarily what it is, but that clean out process, that reset, helps me to reset. So I try not to allow it to get to a point of manifestation. I don't like to speak life to it. I like to practice these daily rituals of being self-aware, knowing myself, and really listening to the people around me. Now, I'm not awesome at it all the time, but it's the right answer. Listen to the people around you. Ask the people around you. and their feedback can be very helpful, especially the uncomfortable feedback from some of your closest friends and accountability partners.
Ask him about what exactly?
Like, just, ask them for an evaluation of what they've observed about you, because sometimes even your audience will be able to tell this, and audience being whether that's your podcast audience or your close friends, your spouse, your children, whatever, your parents, whatever it is. Ask them if they have noticed any changes in the way that you're acting, the way that you're presenting your content, the way any changes in your behavior whatsoever. And
Mm,
you can continue to learn about yourself. It's in having an introspective observation of yourself, but also being open to the feedback of external observation of what am I doing here? How could I be doing things better in our relationship, just as a person? What are you seeing, my friend, of how I can do better, or where am I falling off at?
mm.
Humility. I think that's what it boils down to. To combat burnout, humility.
You definitely have to be humble to ask people that. Because
Yeah,
I
you
think
do.
if in my mind, if I like, I don't typically do that because I feel for whatever reason I feel like I'm gonna let them down somehow if I don't, if they give advice during that, then I'm
Mhm.
like, do I want to follow that or not? So that's
Yeah. And see, so what that is it's fear, which
mm-hmm.
is not of God. Fears of the devil. So that's already the wrong answer. You're going the wrong direction if you're afraid. And if we want to get better, we need accountability. We need mentorship. So
Yeah.
if your initial response is to pull away from mentorship and feedback, again, that's the wrong answer, because that's not how you improve. So and then the humility of it is not being afraid to get an answer that you may not like. That might be a really shitty design for your new merch. It might be. And you actually might hate it, but when you ask your friend and they also hate it, don't get butthurt, because it's
Yeah, that's a good
crap.
point.
And it's crap. Don't expect affirmation just because they're your friend or your close loved one or something like that. I think at the very least we should expect the harshest feedback from those close to us.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the people that love you the most would probably give the most like honest feedback.
I hope
Last
so.
last year I when I was still in college, which I'm on a break right now cuz I owe the money, but I started taking on like extra classes, and then I put like 50 things on my plate, and then
Mhm.
I kept getting like burnt out and then like pulling back, and then I felt better, and then I'd go back
Yeah,
to
and then
putting
you
more
go right back
classes
in.
on. And I had to like I got so stressed out that I could no longer like assess how I was feeling and
Yeah.
what to do about the situation. So I did have to reach out to my dad and like ask him what he thought that I should
Yeah.
do, which I he gives great advice. I don't have the courage to ask it very often. So so,
Yep. Yep.
so I that was one thing I had to like be humble and do, because
For sure.
yeah, and he guess what? He told me take some shit off my plate.
And I wonder if that worked for you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, for a long
I
time.
bet.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was a longer conversation than that, but I was like, you know. between being a mom and then working and school, and then I was starting to do more creative stuff too.
Yeah,
It was hard. But
I bet.
I
I
was
bet.
also taking on some like emotional stuff from school
Yeah.
because of the topics, because I was studying like counterterrorism.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's really, you know, they don't tell you that if you go into school for that, it could give you like actual nightmares. So
Ooh,
I
okay.
struggled with that for a little bit. I got
Wow.
past that. It's fine now, but
Okay.
they don't mention that. So
No disclaimer, huh? Okay. All right. Note to self.
right.
Don't go to college for terrorism.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, but that was like weighing on the back of my mind, so that also didn't help. I couldn't handle
Yeah.
anything else,
Yep.
whether my plate was full or not, but it was full for sure.
Yeah.
You talked about your faith, and you and I have talked about that quite a bit, about God and how he's helped with a lot of things in life. And you say that you do your prayer and gratitude. Is there anything else that you do for your faith, like on a regular basis? Or
Um, I build my relationship with the creator of the universe. And what does that look like? I read the letters he wrote to me
hmm,
often. Um, there is value in the written word, and there's value in physically opening a physical book and reading words that are written down on paper. Um, and I say all of that very, very intentionally because all of those things are very powerful in and of themselves. Sure, listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks, that kind of thing, seeing it on a digital screen. But just like before there was, digital anything, when we actually used our hands to write words on paper, um, and gross. Um,
she just jumped
you
up
know,
on me.
when we used to use our hands to write words on paper with like pens and pencils and stuff, um, that took time, that took intention for us, especially when, way back before you could just go to Walmart and get more pencils and paper. You had to be really, really intentional. So they were. And I really love to go back and read old, handwritten letters because it reminds me to appreciate these things. Anyway,
Mm,
digressing back to the point, I read my Bible often. Um, Connecting with my creator is the most powerful experience that I've ever had in my entire life. I've done a lot of drugs. Not all of the drugs, but several of them. And most of them are a lot of fun, but not a single one of them are fulfilling. I've
mm-hmm.
never felt full from, any sort of drug, whether that's a food, whether that's an alcohol, whether that's an illicit, synthetic, chemical that I put in my body for whatever reason. I may have forgotten momentarily about the emptiness, but it was still there. And
Oh yeah.
the just the smallest portions sometimes of my savior, of my creator, fill me to the point of overflowing. And scripture tells us that we're supposed to be, our cup is supposed to be filled, and he will fill it to overflow. And there's a posture that we often will hold, like when we're in church or something like that, when we're worshiping. It's having this cup shape. It's victory, it's praise, it's vulnerability, but it's this shape of a cup, and it's fill me, and I want to be filled
Mm.
with my creator. And you can't pour out without being filled. If you're an empty cup, you can't pour out into anybody else. And I am under the conviction that my job is to pour out. And so to be able to do that, I need to be filled. And often I will go back to like the same scriptures over and over and over again. I'll go back to Proverbs. I'll go back to like the epistles, like the all the books that Paul wrote in the New Testament. I'll go back to these spaces where God, I mean, just every single time I go back to them, God changes the way that he describes it to me. I need it differently in that moment than I did in the moment that I read it when I was 17.
Yeah.
And that is the number one way that I connect further with my creator. Also having accountability partners and other brothers in Christ, other sons that I can have community with, because the church is the body, right? It's not the building, it's not the channel that we do, it's not Wednesday night, it's you and me and Rance and Casey, and it's the people. We're the hands and feet, and none of us can operate solely on our own. I might be a hand, you are probably a foot, and
Yeah,
so like there's these different pieces that we have to be a community. That's why for me as a content creator, that's why community is so important, because without community there is no life. Without each individual part, we're missing something. So long story short is I read my Bible and have church community.
There's a pretty good community, not just of Christian people, but also of other people as well on Rumble.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's almost weird to me, because you don't, I don't know. It feels like we're living in a little village, and everybody is like,
it does,
doing a part. Almost everybody is just like lifting each other up. You don't see many people pushing each other down. And I have cat hair literally flying everywhere from petting. Hold on.
That's disgusting. Cats are gross. You should burn it.
I gotta brush her soon or something. It's horrible.
Just throw it away.
The cat?
Yeah.
No, let's not.
Put her back in the underworld where she belongs.
Oh my god. I rescued her. She needed me. Okay.
You stole her from her guardian post at the gates of the underworld.
Yep. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah. And now that's why, never mind, I won't ruin your show.
So anyways. No, you're fine. Yeah, so I think Rumble has like a really good group of people. Yeah. And then another thing I was going to ask is, you mentioned you did illicit drugs. When was that?
That was before I met Mrs. Pudge. Like I said, she was the angel that was sent to save my life, and I was a degenerate. Before I met her, I was doing a lot of drugs, even more alcohol, and living in a lot of debauchery. So much debauchery and sin before I met her, and I cold turkey changed my life when I met her. I've been a Christian for a really long time, and I was in my late high school, early college years. I was very involved in my church life, and I did all of the opposite things that I've been talking about tonight. I stopped reading my Bible, I stopped being grateful, and I stopped having community. So those three things drove me down further and further into my depression, and I surrounded myself with toxic people. I literally completely changed my identity. I lived in a college town that was about an hour away from where I grew up, so no one knew who I was except for a couple of people that went to the college that I went to. Um and so I'm outside of my element. Nobody knows who I am. And I applied at this restaurant that I was working at that Mrs. Pudge found me. And I didn't even apply with my real name. I changed my name. I changed my whole entire identity.
Your real
Not a
name's not
single
Pudge?
person. No, it's not. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's Patrick. But I'm not very creative. But like I changed, and so for years, the people at this restaurant, they had no idea that that I was going to school, 10 minutes down the road. They had no idea that I was a good Christian boy, that I was doing, ministry on campus. I was out with them, smoking weed, doing cocaine, doing more alcohol than I ever done in my entire life. I didn't even get drunk for the first time until I was 23 years old.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, my friends took me out for my birthday and got me drunker than I have ever been in my entire life. I threw up a lot in a lot of different places. And that was the beginning of a 4-year decline into illicit drugs, sex, and alcohol that I don't remember a lot of.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of my period of time of using either.
Based on some of the text messages I do remember waking up to, I'm pretty pumped that I don't remember some of those things. Yeah. I definitely I ruined a lot of relationships. I hurt a lot of people, and it is the least proud moment of, in time for, me and my life.
Yeah. Well, now you can talk about it here.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up.
Share experiences with people. I think that's always good.
Yes, it is. And, I'm, again, grateful for the things that I hate, even about myself. I'm grateful that I was kept safe through that. There was a lot, there were so many times that I do remember. I can imagine what it was when I don't remember, but the times I do remember that I was in positions that I should not have survived, in that period of time. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I was kept safe through that. It informs me that I have a purpose. There's a reason that I have this breath in my lungs. There's a reason I keep having the next one. So even as ashamed of my past as I might be, it's still a part of me. So I'm proud of where I've come.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better to look on the past with gratitude than to, try to be like so overwhelmed with it that you just want to change the past. I think some people get stuck in that.
Regret is super toxic. Regret, it has the exact opposite effect of gratitude. So, that's why I practice self-awareness. It's why I practice gratitude, so that I don't have regret later. I don't regret any of the things. I'm not proud of a lot of the things. But I don't regret who I am as a result of these things.
Right. I feel the same way. Let's see. I kind of I put together an outline, but I'm learning more and more with these interviews that it's like my questions like half the time don't make sense in the moment. So
For sure. I learned that a lot too in you know, as I was podcasting and stuff, you know, and I don't even do an outline anymore, because
Mm,
my shows, my podcasts and the conversations, they just go so organically. And,
yeah.
you know, I think the key to that is knowing who your guest is. You know, for like, you know, with you and me, obviously, you know, we've been friends for a little bit. Don't tell anybody. Um, and and so like we know each other. The conversation can be nice and organic. But like, you know, for my conversation earlier today that I had on Practical Pudge
Mm-hmm.
with the CEO of Earthkind, she you know, so she's not somebody I'm friends with, but you know, I learn a little bit about her and her brand, some questions I might have. And then usually, again, I don't ask most of those questions because it just kind of goes organically. I think for me, that's the best way to do podcasting. But I mean, that's everybody's got their thing. Some people have very successful podcasts and they have an entire like show map and they are responsible. That's not who I am.
Responsible. What's that?
This R word. Don't use that hard R in my podcast, please.
Right. No, mine is literally because I'm scared that I'm just gonna like blank out and not think of questions.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
been
I
more of
think
like a
people would
crutch.
be absolutely. I think people would be really surprised at how I wish I had like a little dinger at the bottom of the screen that counted how many moments I'm terrified about what the next question is going to be because it happens a lot.
Yeah.
It happens very often. Like right before the person is about to stop speaking, I'm like, oh, I have to ask a question here in a second, and I don't know what it's going to be. Um, so yeah, I definitely get that fear.
Yeah, I think the follow-up questions have been my saving grace. That and
For sure.
every time I've been like saying a prayer directly beforehand, I'm like, just God, let me hold a conversation for once in my life,
Yep.
please.
I totally get that.
That's literally how it sounds sometimes too.
I really believe that because I do the same sort of things. It's asking for those little things that you're the most scared about. It's
Right.
just it's not being embarrassed to ask for that little thing.
Yeah. I think some people like see prayer as this super structured thing, which it could be in like some circumstances, but
Yeah.
like just knowing that you can just like in everyday small stuff do that,
Yeah.
pray, and then have something work out half the time.
Yeah,
It's
I think people overthink it a lot
yeah,
and they're like, you know, well, God doesn't want to hear about the fact that I can't get this can open and it's really pissing me off. God doesn't want to hear me pray about that. He sure does. He
mm,
sure does. And God doesn't give two shits about your can. God
right.
gives two shits about your heart. And the fact that in that moment of frustration or fear or regret or insert negative emotion, in that moment, your response is turning to him. That's what God cares about. And if you practice it in the little things, in those little moments, instead of being afraid, you go, God, help me here. That's the thing that he cares about.
And that's a good habit too, because if you're like letting go of the frustration, just letting
Yep.
him have it instead of
Yep.
acting out on it, I think
Right.
that's been super
Instead
helpful
of
for
giving
me.
it life,
Yeah.
you know, even if you're in, and I'll do this sometimes too, you know, me and Mrs. Pudge, we argue sometimes. And you know, I'll go off on my own and I'll try to be thoughtful and then I'll be invaded by this negativity of kind of getting into a conversation with you know, just myself, but it's
Mhm.
two-sided. And it's two-sided, and it's me and her having the conversation, kind of like me walking through the conversation, but it's not in a good way. It's in a toxic way where I'm just winning. And that's not a good practice to have. Being self-aware to understand, like, oh, that's not the right answer,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not realistic to just have a two-sided conversation, and you just, the other person, especially if you're in an argument, the other person just like, oh, well, now that you've said these things, of course you're right. No, it's not realistic. So it's going to be toxic. And not listening is the worst way to communicate.
Yeah, it's got to
And
be two directions for communication.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So when I'm off by myself trying to think about it, um, I'll have those small moments of, that toxic behavior of just trying to win the argument in my head, but you got to address it right then and there. And
Right.
you can't follow through with that. You have to say, no, God, give me the listening ears. I got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Let's close one of them.
That's a good saying. I haven't heard
And
of that one.
well, the Bible tells us, be quick to hear and slow to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it's there's a reason that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and 2 eyes, because
Two nostrils as well.
most, well, that's a thing. Yeah, sure. We also have 2 legs. Um, but
10 toes.
and with 10 toes. Wow, most people. But the point being, and actually the nostrils was a good example there, because consuming
Mm,
is more important than projecting. Listening is more important than speaking. And most communication, human communication, well, not human communication, just communication in general, because this is the way animals communicate, is with body language. Most of it's nonverbal.
do you think
Um,
some people have the opposite problem where they do a whole lot of listening and not enough speaking for
I
themselves?
do. I
Yeah.
do. I think that can be a problem as well. That's fear. That's where fear comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You're afraid to speak out. You have self-doubt. That again traces back to not knowing yourself, not practicing gratitude, not actually not practicing humility. Because that's not humility. That's actually pride and selfishness to actually not speak up and not contribute. And that's a big, that could be a whole different, like, deeper conversation, the all the things behind that. Um, but having the confidence to speak up matters just as much
Yeah.
as listening.
Okay. Well, usually at the end of an episode, what we do is we do a take it or leave it. I don't know if you've seen it on another podcast episode, but either me or the guest picks one thing that someone can use as like one little task that they have as homework for the week. But it's a
Ooh,
take it or
okay.
leave it, so they don't have to take our advice on anything. They don't have to do it, but um
Mm,
I think one week we had like, or the first week, the one that I did was like call somebody that you care about and ask about their day,
mhm.
not ask like for anything else, just to ask about them.
Yeah,
Do you have anything that you would like to suggest for it?
I do. My take it or leave it for the audience is, for the next 23 days, before you get out of bed, you sit up on the side of your bed, before you stand up, let your feet touch the floor. And before you stand up out of your bed, spend that first 30 seconds just being grateful for the next 23 days. 30 seconds. Feet touch the floor. Thank you for waking up. Thank you for my bed. Thank you for my house. Thank you for my job that I hate, that I'm going to, but pays the bills. Whatever. So for the first 30 seconds of your life, every single day for the next 23 days, just say thank you. That's your homework. Do it. Watch your life change. Also, extra credit, start cold plunging.
I might have to try that after I.
You're muted.
What? No, I'm. Am I? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now that you're not muted.
How long was I muted for?
Just that 1 second there.
Oh, I wonder if I have a hotkey on that button.
Your camera is doing the laggy thing also, but so is mine in Discord. Maybe it's just my side of the distance. As long as it's not on your end, I don't care.
But yeah, I might try that cold plunge after. I'm trying to get. I've gradually gotten back into eating a little healthier, and now I just made like a schedule today, and I for like my entire week, and I put in working out on some of those days. So
and the thing about working out is it doesn't have to be fancy. Do calisthenics. Just do calisthenics. Just use your own body weight, wall sits, air squats, and push-ups, and lots of stretching.
Yeah.
That simple thing, if you do it every single day, that simple regiment will change your life as far as a workout goes.
I believe that because last year I stuck to it for like 3 months. I did like I slowed into like walking every day, and then I gradually got into running and stretching. I did injure my hip from walking without stretching.
It'll do it. Stretching is,
and I had to take like a month break, but I got it back into it, and my skin cleared up, and I like had too much energy. Like I didn't know what to do with it.
It's a good depression
I'm trying to get that back.
well.
Yeah.
It's really, and it's being efficient with it too. Don't necessarily think about your workout as, oh, I've got to take 2.5 hours out of my day to get ready. I have to have clean clothes. I have to do this. I have to do that. Then I got to do a 45-minute workout. I got to get the weights out. I got to go to the gym. Don't think about that. Don't do it that way. For example, one of my practices is I do 20 push-ups before every single shower. So, and I shower twice a month. So, it's every day I shower.
I hope it's more
every day. Every single day I shower. So
we're just gonna
every
start
single
seeing
day
steam coming off of you from the stink on the
I know, right? Yeah, it's already in my shoes. Every single day, I know I'm gonna get 20 push-ups in because I take a shower every day. If I don't take a shower, then I don't get my push-ups in. And you can add 10 squats into that too. And usually, I do my workout while my water is warming up. So, I've got, 3, 5, 7 minutes, whatever, maybe it's colder outside, so it takes a little bit longer. I've got that time instead of doom scrolling on Instagram or tweeting about, some jihadist on Twitter. Then I can do push-ups. I can do air squats. Instead of, looking for some other useless piece of, crap that I can sell on eBay, on Facebook Marketplace, I could do that workout. It's being intentional with your time.
So what do you have coming up, PudgeTV?
Okay. So it's December. I'm gonna be finishing out Red Dead Redemption for the rest of the month. That's gonna be my daily week driver for the game streams in the mornings. Every Wednesday, me, Zwogs, and Casey are always doing the Rumsketeers stuff. So we're doing things like Jump Space, Sea of Thieves, Arc Raiders. We just played like 5 hours of a game called RV There Yet. And that was absolutely hysterical.
That
It was
looks
so much fun.
hilarious.
Highly recommend going and checking out that stream and getting with your friends and playing RV There Yet. So more Back Porch Theology every Wednesday of this month, except for Christmas Eve, which is the last Wednesday of the month. So there will not be any Back Porch Theology on the 24th. So that leaves us with what, one? Is that right? Just one more episode?
Yes.
Yeah, one more Wednesday of church, of Back Porch Theology at least. I will be, while we're off, like I did last time, I'll be posting the church service on Wednesday as like a live presentation, so that you guys don't miss anything. Mod Mondays, I'm going to try to have at least one more episode this month. I don't have any guests lined up for December. I know everybody is crazy and busy, but I might be doing one on the 29th, which is the day after my birthday. So December 28th is my birthday. On that Sunday, that Monday, the 29th, I'll be doing a big Mod Mondays on that day. What else is coming up? What else? Big things with Pickaxe are happening. I'm very excited about that. So if you're a creator on Rumble, highly recommend getting on pickaxesocial.com, and where you are the algorithm, and we are working on some really awesome plans for 2026 for creators. If you are a blogger, if you're a vlogger, if you are a broadcaster, if you're a news announcer, anything, if you're a gamer, we're putting a lot into the gaming community. Jeff Dornick, the CEO of Pickaxe, my boss, he's a huge fan of this community. We talked a lot about that in the show today. He's a huge fan of the gaming community, and just like everybody else is, because he has seen how committed they are to all of us, to the community, and that matters to people. So highly recommend going and signing up for that. Big things come in for the gaming community, especially on Pickaxe. And then tomorrow, got a really big fun episode planned for you guys. Lots of commentary on the Streamer Awards, and I mean the Game Awards that happened tonight. And it's going to be a really good show. I've got all of the things going on. I'm trying to do some gaming on the weekends as well, trying to do some like Saturday, Sunday stuff, but weekends can be tough. Yeah, I think that's about it. Subscribe to my channel.
Yes, go check out PudgeTV. I will link both of the channels in the description, so go check those out. And thanks for being my third official guest.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Cass. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Happy early 80th birthday.
God bless
I hope you have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.